Grab a stack of rock, hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock with my chemical metal man. Grab a stack of rock, hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock, grab a stack of rock.
Thank you, folks. Welcome to the show. And you can't get glue from a tortoise anymore. Welcome to our Spinal Tap II show. Before we get started, I just want to say rest in peace to Ace Frehley and to Marcy Free from King Cobra. Now, the King Cobra connection with Spinal Tap is that current King Cobra singer Paul Shortino was in the original Spinal Tap movie. You following me? Okay, well, let's bring on our co-host for tonight. First up, we have the Meat Man himself.
Hello.
And Dan Chartrand from Off the Charts.
Hey.
Okay, I promise that's the last time I'm doing sound effects tonight. StreamYard just added those sound effects, so that's
Love
fine.
it. Love it.
Meat Man, how you feeling, buddy?
Feeling like crap, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold on for as long as I can.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a week of feeling like crap.
So with that in mind, we're going to let you go. We're going to just kind of focus on you for the first round of questions and stuff, and we'll pipe in and chime in with our opinions.
Yeah, that's cool.
And second of all, we'll be cutting it off at 8:00 p.m. tonight because Go Jays Go.
Yeah.
Well,
So like I said, I might cut off a little earlier than that, but I'll do my best.
Well, we appreciate you doing this, Meat Man. All right. So, guys, we have now seen Spinal Tap 2. In fact, I just finished watching it for the fourth time just now. Uncle Meat, what were your hopes and fears going into this movie?
Very quickly, I just want to say, Go Jays Go, and
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Ace, who we all love.
Mm-hmm.
My hopes and fears. Well, my hopes and fears. There were fears because I was concerned about joke repeatings and it just being dumb. There was that, and the hopes were. Well, I mean, technically, I always say it's my favorite movie of all time, and it is, but it's more of a nostalgic thing. You know what I mean? Like it will always be my favorite movie. So I was a little concerned, but I was also very hopeful. It was. Let's see what happens. Dan, what about you?
Me, I was minorly excited when I heard the news, and a little bit like you, I was afraid of repetitive jokes. I think there was one.
Yeah,
in the
maybe.
movie.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Two, maybe. Yeah.
I find one comes to mind, but what got me excited actually is the interviews leading to the movie release, and at first I'm like, I'm gonna go see it just whenever, and then of course when I saw those interviews of on David Letterman, or not David Letterman, but whatever those talk shows there, Jimmy Kimmel and all of them, and all these YouTube question and answers, I was like, my God, these guys still have it. These guys are hilarious in these interviews, and that actually got me like, I'm going opening weekend. So there you go.
I'm not sure if you saw it, or if you guys saw it, but there was a Conan O'Brien has a podcast which I watch a lot of, and they had an hour with the guys and Rob Reiner, and that was awesome. Yeah, so
they're great.
Yeah.
And just to address Johnny Metal here, I think the story did make sense, and I thought it was good. I thought that they brought Spinal Tap back in a very believable way. And I thought that the tone of the film was appropriate for the age that the characters were at this point in their lives. So, yeah, addressing Johnny Metal's question, I think that did happen. I'm going to jump ahead to a point that I wanted to talk about specifically with Uncle Meat, which was a favorite personal callback to the original film. Now, Meat watched something yesterday. Maybe I'll just let you explain what you watched yesterday.
Yeah, it was just, on my YouTube, because I've been watching not tons of Spinal Tap stuff for a long time. All of a sudden, this thing came up and it said something about cheese rolling. And I'm like, what is this? And I looked at this thing and it was clearly very, like, quite old. And yeah, it was something very odd that I guess was on some sort. You said it was on like Criterion set or something?
It was on the Criterion DVD, the original release of Spinal Tap on DVD. It might have been on the second and other releases too. I'm not certain. But what that was a trailer that they released before they had like any real footage. So then Marty DeBurgi says, "But I've got something I think you'll really like," and it's this cheese rolling thing going on in Switzerland. So what I like is that there's actually a callback to that in this film where Nigel sneaks in cheese rolling videos into the rear screen projection of the Spinal Tap live show, and he's quite obviously the guilty party because he goes, "Well, I liked it." But I thought that was a cute callback, a very, very deep cut, and maybe indicative of, I mean, continuity was maintained with everything, with Back from the Dead being the last time that Nigel and David talked, 2009, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that coincides with Back from the Dead. And, they played a lot of songs from the second album, the Break Like the Wind, a lot of songs in the movie that are not on the soundtrack CD. Which brings me to another meat question. You discovered something when you were looking to listen to this today online.
Yeah, I put it on Spotify. And I had the Wikipedia track listing in front of me as I was going. I'm like, okay, well, they bottomed next. And then I'm like, wait a second, it went to the track after. It's not there. So I'm like, okay, well, I started looking around. Then I'm like, okay, well, I want to hear it. So I went to YouTube, Ghost Town. You cannot find anything on YouTube of Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood doing Big Bottom. I don't get it. Very strange. Don't know why.
But you heard it.
Yeah.
Why don't we do a quick go round about the movie soundtrack? If you have any thoughts you want to share, Meat.
Well, you know what? I've only heard it really once. I don't. To be honest, I didn't love it. Which is, okay. Back from the Dead. I didn't necessarily love that either. Just because it was just, I'll call callbacks. It was, it was a lot, about half callbacks at different versions of stuff. I really, really liked Break Like the Wind. To me, when it comes to it musically, that's by far their best album. I believe.
Easily.
So many things about it are really great. But the one thing that I think is kind of missing from that soundtrack, and I think you guys will totally agree with this. One thing that made the first soundtrack, the first album of this is Spinal Tap special, is that it was co-written by a funny guy, Rob Reiner, and every song was co-written by Rob Reiner, and it wasn't musically, it was lyrically. I'm quite sure Rob Reiner it doesn't write any lyrics on this new album, and that's probably why it's good, but it's not of the same level. That's the way, if that makes sense.
I'm going to go ahead and speak for Dan for a moment because we've been talking offline about this a lot. And I know Dan and I were both kind of, same as you, kind of underwhelmed. I think Dan and I both compared it to the Back from the Dead album in terms of how much we liked it. And I said to Dan at the time, I think I like Back from the Dead slightly better because, oops, I'm dropping everything here, but live television, folks. I think I like Back from the Dead slightly better because it has the song Rock and Roll Nightmare. Mm-hmm. Which brings me to another thing that Dan and I said, which is there's so much stuff in the movie that is not on the CD, such as that. I like the version of Rock and Roll Nightmare with Nigel doing the annoying wah-wah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's pissing off David. There's a lot of music. All of the songs that they play from Back from the Dead and from the second album, Break Like the Wind, are not on the soundtrack CD. There are some songs from the debut album on the soundtrack CD, including Cups and Cakes with Paul McCartney and Stonehenge with Sir Elton. I guess what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is we think, Dan and I both, that this should have been two versions available, a single disc, which we get, and then a double disc with all this extra stuff. And also, strangely enough, can you guys chime in on this? Are none of those new songs on this new album in the movie itself? Like, I did not recall hearing Brighton Rock, I Kissed a Girl, Angels, Judge and Jury. Rockin' in the Urn was sung a little bit by Derek Smalls. And Blood to Let, which is an old title going back to the 1984 commercial. Blood to Let was also not in the film. But that tune that they're jamming with McCartney on is not on this either. That whatever new song they're rehearsing there.
Whatever it is, yeah.
I just feel this is such a fumble, especially after seeing the film, because I heard the music first and I was kind of underwhelmed, and Dan and I started talking. And now after I've seen the movie, I'm like, this is not what I want to have in my CD player, you know?
Yeah, I guess it goes along with what I said about the Rob Reiner thing. Like, the songs aren't necessarily connected with the movie like they were before, like they were in the first album, and that's pretty much what you're kind of nitpicking about, and rightfully so. Like, that's what I'd say.
Just for Henry and others who haven't seen it yet, because obviously it's not out on DVD yet. I bought it on Amazon Prime streaming. We are not going to get too spoilery, but there will be a little bit of spoilery, okay? But we're not going to blow all the jokes.
Did you see it at the theater, Dan?
Yes.
Yes, I did too. I saw it
opening weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on the second day with a guy who used to work at the old record store thing with Michael, Joe Perry. Who he was a fitting guy to go and see that movie with. We had a lot of fun. Indeed.
Dan, do you want to say anything on your own behalf on the soundtrack CD?
The soundtrack, I half love it, half okay. The comparison to Back for the Dead is Back for the Dead from the Dead. Sorry, is like a CD era type CD. A lot of songs, while this one is an easy listen because it's just one vinyl. The first half I love. I like I said, Nigel's poem, whatever it is. Let's Just Rock Again is a great new song.
I agree.
Listen to the Flower People with Elton John. That's good. Brighton Rock, it's the one with the Spinal Tap sound. If the one that resembles the sound of the 84 soundtrack. Cups and Cakes with McCartney is good. I Kissed a Girl. No, sorry, I skipped The Devil's Not Getting Old, which is okay. I Kissed a Girl is decent. It's side 2 for me is those last 3 songs, Judge and Jury, Rockin' in the Urn, and Blood to Let are like, meh, to me. I would have loved Big Bottom to be a tad longer I was actually digging their version. Angels, whatever, and Stonehenge. I do love that version. I do love their remakes more on this album than I do on Back from the Dead.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
The only one on Back from the Dead that I actually I stuck in my head is the Funky Sex Farm. That was kind of cool. But everything else is kind of ho-hum.
But even Funky Sex Farm was a callback to the 92 TV special where they played it as part of the 92 TV special. Now, there was one song that was in the film. Derek Smalls had a double symphony playing his track Hell to Pay, which is actually on this Smalls Change. Now, I thought that some of the songs on this new album are basically almost outtakes. Like The Devil's Not Getting Old sounds exactly like something on Smalls Change. And these are all songs about aging, which a lot of these new songs on the album are about as well. And I guess if I'm gonna critique the movie negatively, it's only going to be that maybe they leaned a little bit too hard for comfort on the aging thing, because I'm feeling it, guys.
Well, how can they not, though?
I know.
See, that's an interesting point that you're saying, because it brings up a thing that I had said to you, and I said to Johnny Metal too, and I'm curious what Dan's thought is on this. about 10 minutes into the movie, I remember like thinking, wow, they look so old. And I found it very hard not to keep thinking in my head, this should be Spinal Tap 3. 15 years ago, they should have did a Spinal Tap 2. And then this is like the swan song kind of thing. To me, you know what I mean? Like, I think they kind of missed the boat on that a little bit. It's just...
Well, there was that concert, The Return of Spinal Tap, which had some like that folding wine glass at the end there. That's from that. And there's a lot of, sure, it's probably like, 20 minutes worth of sketches or movie in The Return of Spinal Tap in between songs. And to me, them being old, to me, made perfect sense because I treat The Return of Spinal Tap as an official release because it's canon. They mention it in this new movie here also.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the death of Ian Faith is canon. Dead Faith Records, that the Break Like the Wind album came on, was meant to commemorate the dead Ian Faith. First of all,
just quickly, I just wanted to say like about the Ian Faith thing. I was very concerned at one point, very early on, because all of a sudden they showed the Ian Faith clips, the actual clips, and I thought, oh no, they're going to keep doing this, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that didn't.
I was glad it wasn't too clippy as well.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Perkus Burton for joining us tonight, and that's a great reason to pick a favorite song because we got two guys that play bass here. Well, I don't play it; I own it, but. And Johnny Metal, I think this is actually something I want to address as well. The jokes were a different kind of tone, I think. The first movie had a lot of tension, and it had a lot of sort of like interpersonal. It was much tenser in the first movie, I felt. And this feeling of this ship going down, the sinking ship. Things are getting worse. They just keep happening one after the other. But in this movie, the things that happen to the band are much more lighthearted. Like, instead of like, I don't know, for example, Nigel throwing a temper tantrum over an olive, this time we have them being served a traditional Cajun alligator meal in the middle of a ghost tour in presumably the Airbnb in which they are staying. And that's much more lighthearted. And I think that is maybe what you're sensing when you say the jokes weren't as funny. They weren't as sharp necessarily. They were more light. And I felt more, honestly, truthfully, age appropriate. And thank you, Grant, for showing up. Gentlemen, discuss.
The jokes for me were a lot better watching it a second time around, by the way. There's a lot that I did not catch because I was like a little kid, like, oh my God, I'm seeing Spinal Tap 2 at the cinema. Like at 53, I'm still saying that there. But there were so many jokes when I was watching it the second time. And I was like, oh my, you know what? And I had the same reaction when I saw the first one. I liked it when I first saw it. And that's why on my channel, I did a review and I said, time will tell if this movie is going to be as good as the first one, whether you liked it or not now, or I'm just saying it needs a second chance for most people if you didn't really enjoy it the first time, because there's some great jokes that are hidden. And if you're in a cinema and you have a whole bunch of people laughing, mind you, we were 3 in my cinema.
I don't think we were much more than that either.
It was a matinee, but still, we were 3 in the cinema, and sometimes people may not hear a joke because there's 3 jokes that I wrote down here that I did not catch the first time, and I was pissing myself laughing watching it a couple days ago. So there you go.
Dan, not just jokes, but even just like the tail end of a scene where like one character says, yeah, in a funny way, an amusing way, as a punctuation to a joke. Sometimes that's lost the first time you see it. And a few times I was watching the movie and I was like, there were a few times when Nigel kind of finished a scene and I was like, man, that was funny.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with the jokes weren't as funny. I know where that's coming from. The one thing I think, and I think this to me was a positive thing, and it's something that I was really struck by, like on this aspect, they really focused in on like music and like music stuff and gear, and like they really went all in on like the music stuff way more than they did in the first movie. Way more. Like, so I kind of like that aspect, and it almost makes sense. You know, if you think about like logically, all these years later, they would be talking more about music than they would be about olives and cucumbers and whatever. So I liked that aspect of it. I really did.
Right, because they hadn't toured in 15 years, so their lives were now domestic, and they're in the studio, presumably recording new music for an album, is what I got the impression of, because they were clearly rehearsing a new song there. So I want to talk about that scene, because it's actually my favorite scene in the movie, and we're going to call it the McCartney scene. And what happens is, as usual, Spinal Tap are having a disagreement in the studio. And Paul McCartney happens to be wandering by, and he pops his head in, and he maybe decides to offer the guys some advice from a Beatle. And it doesn't go well, and that's all I'll say about it. One member of Spinal Tap doesn't take it well.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you guys know that is actually based on a true story.
No, I had no idea.
And supposedly I think it was 2009, it was said, Spinal Tap was at some place in California, a rehearsing for some show they were doing, and they were just rehearsing, getting ready, and all of a sudden Paul McCartney walked in, and they're like, "What is Paul McCartney doing there?" And Paul McCartney said, "No, play us a tune," and they played a tune, and they played a cover, and I can't remember what the cover was. I can't remember what it was, but it's kind of funny. They literally remembered from 15 years before and wrote that into the movie because it's something that actually happened.
Now, I was worried that the movie was going to be a bit gratuitous cameo-wise, which the first movie really wasn't. But actually, it really there's a 3-drummer montage when they're auditioning new drummers, and McCartney and Elton, and that was basically it.
Yeah, I liked it.
So it wasn't overbearingly cameo, and I loved the drummer stuff. I thought that was hilarious. Now, in the film, Spinal Tap do find, after an amusing drummer audition process, they do find their new drummer, which is the first girl in Spinal Tap. It's Dee Dee Crockett, played by, what's her name? I think it's Janine Franco. Valerie Franco. Valerie Franco, who coincidentally grew up listening to Rush.
Yeah, isn't that an ironic thing now, eh?
I was just going to say that. I was with this.
A bunch of old guys getting an influx from a hot young girl.
There you go.
I was going to say, did this movie inspire Rush to go and get a female drummer?
We'll never know. They'll never.
There's a fine line between stupid and clever.
There you go. An imitation and flattery. Meat Man, did you feel the same like energy when she showed up in the audition room and played "Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight" as I felt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You could even see the energy that she was putting into it. I thought it was it worked great. And another thing, which was kind of funny, because I remember thinking to myself, well, okay, it's a female. They're not going to kill a female. But then the movie ends with...
We don't know.
We don't know. But that's just funny. I found that kind of cool.
I did enjoy, though, the Blue Man Group one.
Because
the other ones felt a little gimmicky, like the guy with the spoons and the tom-toms. That was a little bit gimmicky, but the Blue Man Group made me laugh. I was like, wow, okay, that was cool.
Yeah, made me laugh too.
Okay, now this is a thing. Derek does hit on the new drummer, and it is kind of creepy. I will agree with Johnny Metal there. It was character appropriate, I think, but it was kind of like, cool your jets there, Mr. Smalls. You're not packing the cucumber in your pants anymore.
Hey, it's rock and roll. What do you expect?
Well, I think it was, appropriate that one of the three, I should say, guys in the band hadn't settled down. The other two have.
Yeah.
And you got to have one that still hasn't done that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did I want to ask you guys?
Oh, favorite scene.
Yes, favorite scene.
Got the list on my thing over here.
Over to you.
Well, my favorite scene is going to surprise you people, I think. My favorite scene was the whole thing with John Michael Higgins. And there's a reason for that.
Who?
The fitness scene.
Oh, that guy. Oh my God. That yeah.
And there's a reason for this. Okay, like I said, like this is Spinal Tap is my favorite movie of all time because of nostalgia reasons. But over the years now, I've actually become more of a fan of watching A Mighty Wind for a lot of reasons. And a big reason is Higgins. I just find him super funny. And the second he came on the screen, I just had a huge smile on my face because I knew I was going to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed every time he opened up his mouth. And honestly, it still is. And when I watched it a second time, it was the same thing. I was sick as hell. And I still was loving every second of John Michael Higgins on screen. So that was my favorite scene.
And to add to that, there his line, which made me laugh. There, guys, you're getting old. There, the candles are costing more than the cake.
Yeah, that's classic line. That's classic Higgins. I love his sense of humor.
And it's the way it's his delivery. I love that guy. Yeah.
You want to know something funny, Dan? When he said that, it kind of hit me like a lightning bolt, and I was like, doing calculations in my head, going, "Is that true?"
Well, I mean, I don't know how much candles cost, but I have to put 53 candles on a $10 lobe cake there. I don't know.
No, there were a lot of there. I mean, it did lean heavy on the age thing, and like I said, I'm at both at that age where it might feel a little uncomfortable sometimes, but there's just random shit in this movie that made me laugh. There's a scene where they had just reunited, and Nigel's on the video phone with his girlfriend, and you just hear Michael McKean in the background going, "Are there any towels? Does you know if we have any towels?" That's just like, I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about that. That's old man humor right there. That's grandpa humor.
another good joke I love, and it was actually so like, you're like, why didn't I think of that? Was the tap water joke.
Oh yeah,
was brilliant. I was like, so is it fizzy? And people, I'm not spoiling anything. This was in the trailer also, and I wished they didn't put it in the trailer because I would have enjoyed it more in the cinema getting it. But just tap water. I'm like, oh, that's a clever name. It goes, so is it fizzy inside it? No, just tap water. I'm like, wow, okay, that was that's great there.
See, I was fortunate enough that I forgot the trailer completely when I saw the movie. So literally everything in the movie was a fresh surprise for me. I think I only watched the trailer once. So It was nice and fresh. There were no spoilers for me. Aside from having listened to the songs, I knew who sang on what. Yeah.
Now I will say that another favorite scene of mine, and it was because it was a callback, but it was an original callback. When near the end of the movie, kind of building the emotional part, when St. Hubbins is walking down the street and he sees the old blues guy, and they show a scene with them doing all the way home, but it's not from the movie.
It was an outtake.
It was an outtake, yeah.
Completely different area. It was completely different. It was an outtake, completely brand new. And I think like that is genius. That's absolute genius because they could have just played the old scene, and they didn't. I thought that was brilliant.
Me too. And I was familiar with that outtake. That's all in that Criterion edition.
Oh, I had never seen it before. See, I had not seen it, so to me it was just completely new.
You of all people need to see the Criterion because it's almost like an hour and a half of footage that it's almost like getting an entire second movie that happens simultaneously with the original movie. Okay. And there's a whole subplot about a sexually transmitted disease that's almost completely cut from the theatrical film. There's only a hint of it in theatrical, but there's more.
Oh, I know.
There's a source for it. There's an opening band, and that's all in the Criterion edition. You get all the opening band drama, and there's a female member of that band.
Very
Did you guys notice? Like my friend noticed it when we saw it at the cinema, but I didn't catch on. It's when they're playing Stonehenge. And then there's a guy, play Stonehenge.
Yeah, they've always started it.
That's funny. I didn't notice it the first time I saw it, but I noticed it today.
The first time I saw the movie, I thought that was a mistake. And then the second time, I'm like, That's funny.
That was well placed line right
Yeah.
there. Well placed. I did enjoy. Again, I find that the end credits were better than the original because there was like the guy talking about his a cappella rap, and he goes, "Well, when you think about it, it's just people shouting threats that rhyme." I was like, "What is?" That was his best line in the whole movie.
That was a good line
for the end, and the Bruce Springsteen joke there.
Yeah,
going on Spreventine.
Springsteen going on Spreventine. I was like, that was just plain dumb. But
yeah.
You know what I thought was cool about the end credits? Exact same font, exact same layout. It was identically matching the end credits.
I didn't think about that. That's exactly right, though.
Now, since we're talking about the end credits, I have an autograph here from a cast member of Spinal Tap II, and I'm just wondering if you guys can make out who that is. Oh, that's my address. I don't know what that's showing.
Michael McKean?
No, it's not Michael McKean. It is Wee Man Acuna, who played one of the dwarves that was dancing around the Stonehenge monument. So yeah, that is my autograph and my address. I suppose if people want to stalk me, it's too late now. This is live.
Speaking of that part with Wee Man in the Stonehenge, I'm not going to spoil anything, but did you guys I'm talking Mike and meet I was going to say Meathead.
Well, that's a callback. That's a callback.
No, it's Meaty DeBergy to you.
No, I know. I just blanked. But Spinal Tap have trolled us big time because they released a video before the movie came out of Stonehenge. The concert. Watch it.
Yeah, they did.
And it's not the same version as the movie.
Oh, I didn't know
I'm
that.
just saying that.
That's interesting.
Because I told my friend, no, I'm going to spoil. I'm not going to say.
Well, what I'll say here, in addition to what Dan's saying, is this is now common practice in movies to avoid spoilers. Because if you remember back in 2019, when Avengers: Infinity War came out, there was a trailer that featured the Hulk in the Wakanda battle, but the Hulk wasn't in the Wakanda battle. They didn't want to spoil that Bruce Banner couldn't turn into the Hulk anymore. Exactly. So putting out false footage is now common for films when they don't want you to get a spoiler, but they do want you to get the big song. Like, they want you to come into the theater knowing you're going to get Stonehenge, but they don't want you to know how you're getting it.
But just check it out. There's a video, and it's not the same. Three Little Dots. I don't want to spoil anything who people didn't see it there, but there's two different versions of that song live, and it's exactly the same, except there's a different ending.
Now, Speaking of live, what about this announcement?
Right. Okay. So just yesterday, I think it was, they announced that they're playing a gig in 2026. So,
and they show it, the setup at Stonehenge.
Yeah, they're going to be playing at Stonehenge. I highly doubt they will be playing inside the actual monument because that's like a protected site.
Well, from what they showed a setup, and the Stonehenge was in the back. Oh. Yeah. Eric Clapton is supposedly in it.
You know what, Henry? My sister emailed me and she tells me that her eBay store isn't selling anymore. She was making thousands of dollars, but not anymore. Anyway, I'm excited. I guess spoiler alert, when I saw this movie, there's a lot of open-endedness. And I thought, I hope they continue. And this gig next year, makes me smile. It makes me smile.
It's going to be fun.
I'm glad that they're doing that, and why not? To quote David St. Hubbins, and why not? And IMAX, yeah, that'll be good to see in the IMAX.
Oh yeah, I'll be there
for sure.
What about the cameos? Like did you guys see the girl at the beginning there?
Yeah.
I don't know what her name is, but the one that goes, we're just one with the band, and
The players and the audience. And in this one, she says, it's like a vortex.
yeah, it's the same actress or
Yeah.
person, right?
And I think she was, if I remember correctly, she was Timothy B. Schmidt from the Eagles' wife, if I remember
Really?
correctly.
That's neat.
Yeah, that was from one of the audio commentary tracks on the DVD.
So I'm curious,
if I'm right.
I'm curious if you guys will. I remember. When this question was posed to me, it took me a little bit, but I did get it. Someone, a friend of mine who saw the movie as well and is a big fan, said, they brought back all these people, like did a good job with Fran Drescher and Paul Schaefer, and he said, can you name the one that they could have brought back that they didn't? And I'm curious if
Billy Crystal.
Yes.
Or the other guy too, Dana Carvey.
They literally could have had both of them as mimes or doing anything else. So that's the one thing that maybe I'm a little surprised if Billy Crystal wouldn't be in that. Kind of be honest. It seems like his thing.
I mean, there's one obvious one, which was Fred Willard.
Fred Willard.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace. He was great in the first one.
Big time.
But other characters, let's talk about Simon Howler. I hated him from the first moment he spoke on screen, and I hated him more as the movie progressed. And then I'm like, this is perfect. You're supposed to freaking hate this guy.
Yeah.
And I was telling Dan earlier, I guess we'll spoil this one thing, is that they have this, I guess, promoter, publicist, manager guy that it seems kind of loosely based on Simon from the fucking,
American Idol?
Yeah, that guy. Seems kind of loosely based. He's a mogul. He's got like Korean boy bands that identify as Korean but are actually Nicaraguan. He's had, I think, 19 number one hits, and not one of them had one of the band members playing an instrument. Anyway, you hate this guy. But I was telling Dan earlier, he's got this illness, which he calls his like secret weapon, but he can't hear music. He can't. And it's called Sincelia's curse.
Okay, so that's what you were talking about. Now I see. Now I know the reference. Yeah.
When he's like, I have this condition called Sincelia's curse. I just howled. Just the name that they gave this thing. It's hilarious to me. It's like that obscure illness that's in the Encyclopedia Britannica, and only like 15 people in the world have ever had it, or whatever, But and it's of course so appropriate that this guy can't appreciate or understand music at all, because that leads to some of the tension later in the movie. The tension this time is not interpersonal in the band so much as between the band and Ian Faith's daughter Hope Faith and Simon Howler, who's like one of my favorite lines. Dan and I were talking earlier. C.J. Vanston has a reasonable role in the film, and there's a funny line that he has when Simon is disrupting one of the rehearsals, and he starts playing a melody in his keyboard, and he goes, "Hey guys, what's the sound? Ding, 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 ding. It's a sound of wasting time."
Yes.
Funny.
Anyway, how did you guys feel about the antagonist in this film, Simon?
He was perfectly hateable. That's what you want. You want that. Yeah.
I'd have to see like one of his other roles. Like I don't know that actor at all, but I really effing hated that guy.
Yeah.
And when he left, I was like, good riddance. But again, his line at the end with the a cappella rap thing was just like, to me, that was his best line of the whole movie. And it was saved to the end.
It's just shouting threats.
Shouting threats that rhyme. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't come out of this movie. I don't think you can come out of this movie saying it was as quotable as the original, but obviously look what we're doing here. Like this movie's not nearly as fresh in our heads as the original that we've been watching for decades, but we're quoting it.
And that's my point, is try it out a second time, because you'll be cool. Like the erasing browsing history joke there, like I told Mike about this, and someone thought I was, Googling Taylor Swift, and Mike's like, no, it's something in the movie. So it's that, that was my friend's favorite line. And there was there was one joke that I found cringy,
Okay.
and but I I learned to love it a little bit more, and I actually just want to show you guys this. You have no idea what a black diamond block of cheese will get you these days. So I got this. Uh, I got this for one block of Havarti black diamond cheese there. I did not like that joke at first, and then the more you watch it, you're like, okay, it's getting there, but it looked like a forced joke to me.
Well, that's kind of almost what I thought about Nigel, like literally having cheese and a cheese grater in the back of his guitar. Like,
Yeah,
I was thinking to myself, like, hey, you can't need cheese that badly right in that second. Like, so I hear you.
Yeah. There's a lot of good cheese jokes in this movie.
Very cheesy.
There's
Dumb cheese.
another great line is, you can eat cheese and not die, right? I want to share with you another one of my favorite lines. Again, I just watched the film, and one of the most controversial forms of humor is the fart joke. And there is a fart joke in this movie, but it is challenged by David St. Hubbins. And one character says, farts are funny. And David St. Hubbins kind of pauses and goes, I can't disagree with you on principle.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
You know, another thing that I really found, I was kind of surprised with how much I enjoyed it and found it funny, was Paul McCartney. I found that he's so dry, so dry. Like, do you remember in the movie Sound City?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Paul McCartney at the very end of the movie? There's a scene where our Dave Grohl says, why can't it always be this easy? And Paul McCartney just deadpan, just looking and goes, it is. And that's what I thought of when I saw Paul McCartney in the movie. Like, there is that dry wit that made me laugh in Sound City, and I liked it.
See, for me, that's one thing I wanted to mention is, the Elton versus Paul cameo. While Paul McCartney, I found not the interaction with the cups and cakes and, the song that they're writing, but when he's being interviewed by Marty DeBurgi, and he goes, well, talking about mud flaps, well, that's literature. And I was like,
no, I have to stop you. It wasn't the mud flaps. It was the flesh
Pink
tuxedo
torpedo.
and the pink torpedo.
Yeah.
Let's give Paul some credit here.
And I'm sorry, but I don't agree with Johnny Mantle on that. I really like that. I like the whole Palmer.
I just found it scripted. I found that interview scripted, while Elton John felt more of a actor. Again, that's just me there.
I thought Elton
I'm completely the opposite of that. It's interesting.
I loved the Paul scene, but to give Elton credit where credit's due, in the interview segments, I totally bought that he was a fan of Spinal Tap, because he knows their B-sides.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're not just strictly a heavy metal band, the great musicians. And in real life, they're not just a heavy metal band, and they are great musicians. So I really like the Elton scene. Now I'm going to throw a question at Meat, because Dan and I talked about this earlier. Elton is wearing sort of like, I don't know what you'd call it, but he's wearing like a tracksuit with an embroidered like sparkly E on his lapel there. You think that's his real clothes, or you think that's wardrobe?
I wouldn't think it's his real clothes now, but I would think that that was made for him to kind of like showcase how he used to dress. You know what I mean? Because he used to dress in the wildest things possible. You could list them forever. All the Dodger stuff and the Liberace stuff, and so I mean, it was just kind of I looked at it as a little callback to his older days.
Now, I won't go into spoilers, but Elton has a final scene during the credits, and Jen howled at his appearance, at what his clothing, at what was on him. She howled. I thought Elton was absolutely wonderful and a great addition to this film. Again, I didn't know that I was going to like these quote unquote cameos. He has a larger role than just strictly a cameo. But I really did. And I totally, again, one more time, I totally bought that Elton was a legitimate fan of Spinal Tap. So there you go.
Fair. Yeah. Excuse me.
Meat Man, checking on you for time.
Oh, well, I'm going to be leaving shortly. I'm feeling bleh.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question. You mentioned earlier in messaging that I Kissed a Girl on the soundtrack CD has lead guitar by who?
Phil X, which I said to me was very neat because, like I said to you, Phil X is the first guitar player I ever watched jam in front of my face, like not at a concert. Like it happened to be that
he's local, is what
he's local to a band called Sid Next around town, which is his last name backwards, and it just so happened that really the first guitar player I ever saw was the guy who's on now Bon Jovi. It's so weird. Yeah,
and Triumph we should mention as well, of course.
Yeah,
and Frozen Ghost. Frozen Ghost is where I actually first became acquainted with Phil X.
Right, I forgot all about.
It was Triumph, yeah.
Also on soundtrack notes, the version of Big Bottom that Meat was talking about, Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood, on the soundtrack CD and accurate to the movie, it is not by Spinal Tap. That is by either studio musicians or maybe it's by Garth's band, but it's not Spinal Tap. That is by other musicians, as it should be, because that's a cover version in the film.
And I don't think it's all bass players either.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's more of a full arrangement. And there's also a guest drummer on Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Greg Bissonette, probably best known for the David Lee Roth band.
Yeah. Neat.
But as Dan was telling me earlier, Greg Bissonette also has played with Spinal Tap live.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When they were doing that footage there of, we did the Wembley, we did this and that, there's a concert of them, the outside concert. That's the one that Bissonette played on. And I think isn't that the one where like Metallica and all that all came out with basses to do?
That's funny. I was just about to say that. I
think it's that show.
I ran across it today on YouTube. It's like 15 different bass players playing Big Bottom. Yeah. and there James Hetfield was out there and all that. Yeah. Neat.
That's
so
wild.
I think it was that. Yeah. During that era.
That's wild. What else was I going to say here? Oh, and this is just personal. Nobody else in the world is going to think this, but The Devil's Just Not Getting Old had a hook in it that was similar to a song by Helix called Mainline, which is one of the Brent Durner tunes from the first couple albums. There's one hook in it. If you play both, you might hear what I'm talking about, but I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I don't think, I don't think Harry Shearer is sitting in his basement spinning his Helix records going, there's a riff I can steal.
Well, okay, you say that, but I found that I Kissed a Girl has resembled a lot Caffeine by Alice Cooper from the Welcome to My Nightmare album.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
You'll be like, okay. I was like, so you never know. Like there's two examples. I didn't get the Helix one, but
no, I didn't get that Alice Cooper one, but I totally hear it. I know the song very well. Yeah.
And for Harry Shearer's voice, you find I'm not a fan of that, his voice on the album. Now, is that Harry Shearer trying to sound like Derek Smalls, or is that really Harry Shearer's voice, you think?
Well, in the movie, they're singing Rockin' in the Urn.
I know,
and he sings one chorus where he goes rocking in the urn, and then Nigel goes, but you sang it lower, and then he goes rocking in the urn. Yeah. That's sort of a voice that he puts on. Okay. I'm sure that in real life Harry Shearer has a wonderful singing voice, but when he's Derek Smalls, he sings in that annoying voice, and I hate it. It's getting worse. Yeah. And my other critique of the new album, I drop everything again. My other critique of the new album is that it has too many Derek Smalls lead vocals for my taste.
Well, there might be a reason for that. I remember what you were saying about, they needed songs. I think at least a couple of those songs, and that's why Phil X was on it, are like
Be right back, Mike. Okay, be right back.
Outtakes from that album.
I actually had the exact same thought. I had to check the track list here and make sure that The Devil's Not Getting Old wasn't on here because it does sound very similar.
So Phil X is on that album, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And both albums produced by C.J. Vanston, by the way, who's been with the band since Break Like the Wind.
Yeah, that's right.
And he mentions that in the movie. There's a short interview segment with him where he says, they asked me to join for one gig, and now here I am 32 years later or whatever long it's been. But it was nice to see him getting just a little bit of screen time as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Meat Man, you have a baseball game to get to.
Yeah. That and I need to lie down too.
Okay,
but
so do both simultaneously.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? Because we're going to wrap it up in 10 minutes.
It was great talking about this with you guys. I mean, I kind of even enjoyed the movie even more the second time I saw it. To be perfectly honest,
I think that's important for people to know.
Yeah,
for me, second and third.
The first it was like it's been my whole life for 40 years of like this is my sense of humor. This is mine. So it's like the first time I watched it, I was critiquing it the whole time. It was like it was like a census was going on. So I'm just second time I was like this is as good as I thought and better. So it was good.
And when I was watching it the second time, I had something to do. I was watching it. I'm like, I need to I don't want to shut it off. I'm actually enjoying watching the second time around. Just one for tonight, and two, I was legitimately enjoying it. Like again, more the second time around than the first.
Yep, I agree. Totally.
I didn't think that I was going to like it as much as I did, and I'm really happy.
Yes.
I know you didn't, because I remember having a conversation with you a couple of years ago, and you were not happy about it. And I understood your points, but I don't think they ended up doing what you were worried they were.
None of it. Like I said, I was worried about it being too cameo-y, and it wasn't. I felt like the cameos were on perfect. They were perfect, all of them. And like I said, everything just felt age appropriate to me. I love the new drummer. I thought that she injected real life to the movie as soon as she shows up. I love the drummer audition process. That was an elephant in the room that needed to be addressed. And yeah, Johnny, no worries, man. Obviously, don't spend money just because
it's coming out on Blu-ray, November 10th or something like that. Blu-ray. So I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. Okay, boys, I'm out of here.
Go Jays!
It was a lot of fun talking with you guys about this, and I look forward to us hanging out again.
You got it, buddy. We will.
And again, there he is, good old Ace. I just want to say quickly, a lot of people, no one really likes Peter Criss that much, and a lot of people find Stanley and or especially Simmons hateable. Nobody dislikes Ace Frehley. Nobody has ever not liked Ace Frehley.
Ask Paul.
That is a big.
Ask Paul that question.
But it's just saying that's a big loss. Because he is so loved. Yeah, and really, all three other guys are never praised for their music ability. But people list Ace Frehley as their favorite guitar player, and all the like. What's his face? Dimebag Darrell, and his over. You can go through all the names of just they are just so into Ace Frehley. So go Ace, man. Rest in peace, dude.
I'm actually doing a live listening party tomorrow for Ace Frehley, like Kiss and solo stuff that he wrote and sang on. So
that's cool.
And
I'll
next
see if
week,
I can get through that.
That's cool.
And next week on Grab a Stack of Rock, we're doing our Halloween episode, and I will be doing a tribute to Ace. I don't know if anybody else will, but I will be doing my top 11 Ace Frehley tracks from Kiss and solo. And next week, I'll be joined by Johnny Metal, Robert Daniels from Visions and Sound, and of course, the returning Harrison Kopp, the Mad Metal Man. So that's Halloween night. October 31st. And just like tonight, we're going to wrap it up before 8 because there should be a World Series game that night.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah,
Or,
there should be.
Should
Well,
be.
I mean, they're
Who
like,
knows? Who knows? Okay, bye, boys.
take care, bud.
Thanks,
care.
guys. See you,
Have a good
man.
one.
Awesome. If I can find the right button. Oh, there he is. Bye-bye.
Bye. Anyway, I think both of us would rate the movie pretty high. I'm going to go at 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, for now, I'd put it 8. 8 for me right now. But again, I the more I watch it, the more I like it, and I'm having the same reaction as I did. And the proof is right there. We were quoting it tonight and laughing with those quotes, and it's not as good as the first one. Nothing ever is. Nothing. There may be a couple of exceptions in the world, but I quite enjoyed the sequel a lot.
Yeah,
not a bad thing to say about it.
8.5 out of 10, with the first movie being a 10 out of 10 for me.
No, it's an 11. Come on, Mike.
Oh, okay. Let's do it that way.
It's the only movie. Did you know that? It's the only movie on IMDb that is scored out of 11.
I didn't know that.
Check it out. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So that's why I say now that is an 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's about all I have to say. I enjoyed the movie very much. I want to thank everyone for watching. There's the album one more time on CD. Dan has the vinyl. There's the full track listing, although Dan pretty much wrapped up all of the new tunes. So there you go, folks. Thank you for watching. We both recommend, all three of us recommend Spinal Tap II, The End Continues. But keep in mind, Johnny Metal didn't like it. So there's always that other side of the coin. We will see you next week live on Grab a Stack of Rock. Like I said, we're going to do my tribute to Ace Frehley, top 11 songs, Kiss and solo. And we're going to talk our top 5 band costumes. So that could be anything from Kiss to Spinal Tap's new costumes in this new film to ABBA to Beatles. We're going to have Rob Daniels. We're going to have Johnny Metal and Harrison. And we are all also added bonus. We're all going to be costumed.
Oh.
And Johnny Metal is joining us next week. Oh, and if all works out, I still have to do it. We're going to also take a look at some classic costumes from years past, from yourself and from Johnny Metal. Whew. Okay. Now, final order of business before we call it a night. Dan interviewed Rick Hughes with me. Rick Hughes from Sword, Saints and Sinners, and Solo on Off the Charts. We interviewed him, was it 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
Fantastic interview. His new album came out today for streaming. You can order it on Amazon on vinyl. It's not out for order on CD yet, but do check out the brand new Dan Hughes album.
Or Deco.
Rick
it's
Hughes.
Deco. You can get it on Deco Entertainment if you want to get the CD.
Okay.
Or vinyl.
Noted. So that's Rick Hughes, not Dan Hughes. Dan is his older brother. Rick Hughes on the Off the Charts channel, and he has an Ace Frehley listening party coming tomorrow. So check out both our channels, please. I keep wanting to say Dan Hughes, but it's Dan Chartrand from Off the Charts. He will be back in the future. You never know when, but I guess as a last word, we'll just say go Jays.
Yes, go Jays.
Okay. Well, we always like to go on a song. So if you're still watching, this is a little song about Uncle Meat. This is called, if I can find it, Open Door Piss. Have a great night, folks. Enjoy.
All right.
and Nikki sex and open door pairs. Don't care if you're not impressed and open door pairs. Did I mention I was a house guest and open door pairs? Heading out this evening to meet up with my boys. For a couple beers we'll make a little noise. Checked out the telly to find out what's the score. But the Patriots, they ain't no good no more. I threw that telly on the floor, then caught shit from the man. So I made a beeline straight for the can. Because when your evening starts like this, and open door pairs. When Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, and open door pairs. Hey, I almost never miss, and open door pairs. Everybody take a look at this, and open door pairs. Don't care about your rules, don't live my life to please you fools. If you don't like it, turn the other way. That's what I say. Like there's no child writing songs with Kiss and open door pairs. Like 90s ballads from Aerosmith and open door pairs. When the Jays can't get no hits and open door pairs. When your socks they smell like this and open door pairs. When you just don't give a shit and open door pairs.